I never thought the woman who slept with my husband would be the one to save my life. If you think that sounds dramatic, you are right. It is. My name is Lauren. I am 38 years old. This is the story of the night I decided to die, and the text message that interrupted my plan. I am not telling this because I am proud of any of it. I am not the hero of the story. I am not the villain either. I am just a woman who almost disappeared over a man who could not even look up from his phone. If you are listening to this, there is a chance you are standing where I stood that night, on the edge of a decision you cannot take back. So I am going to start at the beginning. There was a time when I believed I had a boring marriage in the best possible way. No drama, no screaming, no mysterious late-night phone calls. My husband, David, was the type of man people called solid, reliable, safe. The kind of man who paid the bills on time, who changed the oil on schedule, who remembered my mother's birthday before I did. From the outside, we looked fine, stable, normal, a little dull, maybe, but in a world full of chaos, dull felt like a blessing. What people did not see were the quiet ways we were dying. They did not see how our "how was your day" turned into "did you pay the electric bill?" They did not see how he started falling asleep on the couch with his laptop on his chest, blue light flickering across his face. They did not see how I started talking more to the TV than to him. There was one moment, small and stupid, that stuck in my mind. I had bought a red dress, nothing fancy, nothing designer, just something a bit tighter, a bit louder, a bit more alive than my usual clothes. I came out of the bedroom wearing it and stood in the doorway to the living room. David was on the couch with his laptop. The TV was playing some crime documentary. I did a little spin and said, "Too much?" He did not look up. "It's fine, babe." It's fine. 2 words, neutral, harmless, but something inside me wilted. That night I folded the dress and shoved it into the back of the closet. I told myself I was being dramatic, that real problems were bigger than a man not complimenting a dress. Now I know that was the first time I really felt myself disappear. The day I found out about Simone, it was a Tuesday. Not a big day, not an anniversary, not some symbolic date, just Tuesday. I came home from the grocery store. My arms were full of plastic bags cutting into my fingers. David was in the shower. His phone was on the kitchen counter. I am not the type who snoops, or at least I didn't used to be. The only reason I even glanced at it was because the screen lit up, right as I set the milk down. A message preview popped up. It said, "I can still taste you. When can I see you again?" From a contact named Simone with a heart next to it. The world did not explode. It shrank. It shrank down to those words, that heart, that name I didn't know. I could feel the handle of the grocery bag digging into my skin. I remember the hum of the refrigerator. Everything in the room kept doing its job, like nothing had changed. I did not open the message. I did not need to. I walked upstairs and knocked on the bathroom door. "Hey," I said. "Your phone lit up. Someone named Simone says hi." There was a pause, a breath, just slightly too long. "Okay," he said finally. I'll check it later. Later. That night, he acted normal. He kissed my cheek. He sat on the couch. He opened his laptop. He laughed once at something on the TV. He never mentioned Simone. I watched him like I was watching a stranger. I counted how many times he checked his phone. I wondered how many other nights he had sat in that same spot, texting her while I was right there. I did not sleep. Not really. My body was still. My brain was not. 2 days later, when he left for work, I broke a rule I had kept for our entire marriage. I opened his laptop. He had left his messages logged in. I saw everything. Their conversation was long, hundreds of messages, pictures, jokes, complaints, her sending selfies, him calling her baby, him talking about me. She doesn't get me. She's always tired. She doesn't even try anymore. He talked about our home like it was a prison. He talked about me like I was a burden. There is a specific kind of humiliation in seeing yourself described by the person who promised to love you. Not in a diary, not in therapy, but in a chat window, edited and curated for someone else's sympathy. I read until my eyes burned, until the words blurred and the laptop screen turned into a smear of light. Then I closed it. I walked to the bathroom, sat on the edge of the tub, and stared at the grout between the tiles. I do not know how long I sat there, long enough for my legs to go numb. Finally, I stood up. I washed my face. I made dinner. I did not confront him that night, or the next, or the next. Instead, something in me went quiet. I answered when spoken to. I smiled when expected. I went through all the motions of being a wife while feeling like my body was just a costume I was wearing. Every time I thought, "You need to say something," another thought answered, "Why? So he can tell you it was your fault?" I told myself I was strong for staying calm. In reality, I was fading. The night I decided to die was not dramatic on the surface. We were at the dinner table. The food was simple. The room was quiet. The TV in the next room hummed softly. I asked, "Do you want more rice?" He said without looking up, "No, I'm good." That was it. That was the moment. Not a fight, not a confession, not some big explosion. Just that. I realized that if I had screamed right then, if I had slashed my arms open on the spot and bled onto the table, he would have said, "I'm good," and gone back to his laptop. After dinner, he went to the living room. I washed the dishes. My hands moved on their own. Upstairs in our bedroom, I opened my jewelry dish and took off my wedding ring. I set it down, carefully, quietly. Then I opened the closet and pulled out the red dress, the one he had called fine, without even looking. I put it on. I zipped it up slowly. My fingers were trembling, but my thoughts were smooth and flat, like they were gliding over ice. I took my phone and opened a blank note. I started to write to my mother. "I'm sorry. I tried to be enough. I failed." I stared at the words. It felt stupid and enormous at the same time. How do you explain years of erosion in one little paragraph? I did not send it. I left it open. I grabbed my car keys and walked past the living room. "I'm going out," I said. "Okay," he replied. He did not look away from the screen. I drove to the lake where he had proposed to me. Back then, the place had felt magical. Now it just felt far away from everything. The parking lot was mostly empty. The sky was dark. The water was darker. I parked the car, turned the engine off, and just sat there. I felt like I was already gone, like I was watching a movie of a woman in a red dress sitting in a car by a lake, trying to decide whether she mattered. My phone buzzed in the cup holder. I ignored it. It buzzed again and again. Annoyance flickered through the numbness. I picked it up, ready to turn it off. The number was unknown. The message said, "Lauren?" I frowned. Before I could respond, another message came in. "Please don't do this. I know who you are. I know where you are. Please." Ice slid down my spine. I typed, "Who is this?" The reply came past almost instantly. "My name is Simone." Everything in me recoiled at that name. The humiliation, the rage, the images from those messages, all of it flared up at once. I typed, "Lose my number." She answered, "Not until you come to the cafe by the highway, the one with the green awning. I'm here. I am alone. Please, just talk to me first. If you still want to go after that, I won't contact you again." I sat there with my fingers hovering over the screen. Every part of me screamed that this was insane, that she was the enemy, that nothing she could say would make anything better. But there was something else underneath all that. The fact that someone, anyone, had noticed where I was and cared enough to reach out. I stared at the dark water, then at the glowing screen, then at my own reflection in the windshield. After a long time, I started the car and drove to the cafe. It was almost empty. The fluorescent lights made everything look too bright and too tired. There was only one woman sitting alone at a table near the back. No makeup, no red lipstick. Her hair pulled back in a messy bun. A mug of coffee between her hands. She stood when I walked in. "Lauren?" she asked. The way she said my name hurt. It was too gentle, too familiar, like she had practiced it. I wanted to slap her. I wanted to scream at her to never say my name again. Instead, I sat down. "Talk," I said. She nodded. Her eyes were red at the edges, like she had been crying. "You don't owe me anything," she said. "You don't have to stay. But I saw your location on his shared account. The lake. At this hour. In that dress. I recognize the pattern." "The pattern," I repeated. The word tasted bitter. She looked down at her hands. 5 years ago, I was engaged to someone who made me feel how he makes you feel, she said. Small, crazy, invisible. I drove to that same lake and sat there for 2 hours, trying to decide if I wanted to keep going. My sister called me and wouldn't hang up until I went home. She took a breath. "When I saw where you were tonight, I couldn't just watch it happen again to someone else." This was not what I had expected. I had built a version of her in my mind. A villain with perfect eyeliner, laughing at my stupidity. The woman in front of me looked wrecked, human. I didn't know about you at first, she said. He told me he was separated, that you were just roommates until the divorce was finalized. I wanted to believe him, so I did. I gave a short, harsh laugh. Of course he did, I said. 2 months in, I found your Instagram, she continued. Anniversary posts, holiday photos. You were not separated. You were married. I confronted him. He said you didn't love him anymore, that you were cold, that you never touched him. He made you sound like a ghost. I felt my throat close. That's not how it works, I said quietly. I know, she said. We sat in silence for a while. The cafe hummed around us. The soda machine, the faint clatter of dishes, the distant hiss of an espresso machine. Is he in love with you? I asked finally. She flinched. He's in love with the version of himself he gets to be with me, she said. That's not the same thing. I did not know whether that made me feel better or worse. I'm not here to defend him, she said. I'm here to tell you he's not going to stop. Not for you, not for me, not for anyone. He doesn't hate you, Lauren. He hates looking at himself. You've known him long enough to hold the mirror steady. That makes you dangerous. A small, sharp piece of truth lodged itself in my chest. For weeks I had been asking, why am I not enough? The answer was sitting across from me. It had never been about me being enough. You cannot fix him, she said. You can only decide what kind of life you want. Getting even will not heal you. Staying and shrinking will not heal you either. Leaving might not heal you right away, but at least you will still be here to find out. Why do you care? I asked. You got what you wanted. She shook her head. Did I? She said. I heard another woman for a man who lies for sport. That is not exactly winning. She looked at me with an expression I did not have a name for. Whether we like it or not, we are in the same story, she said. I refuse to let him be the one who writes the ending. I hate you, I said. I know, she answered. I hate him more, I added. A ghost of a smile passed across her face. That's a healthier order, she said. We stayed until the cafe closed. 2 women at a chip table, wrapped up in the same mess from different angles. When we walked out to the parking lot, she touched my arm lightly. I'm ending it tomorrow, she said. For real this time. I'm going to tell him I told you everything. He's going to rage and blame and twist it back on both of us. Do not believe any of it. I nodded. I felt incredibly tired. What if I still want to do it? I said. What if another night I drive back to the lake? Then text me first, she said. I almost laughed. You expect me to become friends with my husband's mistress? I asked. No, she said. I expect you to give yourself one more person to call before you disappear. I did not go back to the lake that night. I drove home. The house looked the same as it always did. The porch light, the curtains, the shape of our life. Inside, David was asleep on the couch. The TV was still on, washing his face in moving light. His phone was in his hand. For a long second, I just watched him. The rise and fall of his chest, the slack mouth. A month earlier, that sight would have shattered me. Now it just looks small. Upstairs, I took off the red dress and hung it back in the closet, not as a symbol, not as some big empowering gesture, just as a dress I might wear again one day for myself. In the morning, I waited until he was sitting at the kitchen table with his coffee. "I know about Simone," I said. The mug stopped halfway to his mouth. He set it down slowly. "Lauren, I've read the messages," I said. "All of them." The color drained from his face. "What do you want me to say?" he asked. "Nothing," I said. "I just want you to know that I am not crazy and that I am not staying." He panicked. "Come on, we can fix this," he said. "We can go to counseling. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. Don't throw 11 years away over this." 11 years. As if I was the one holding a match to our history. "The worst part is not that you cheated," I said. "It is that you made me disappear so slowly. I almost helped you." He cried. He blamed stress, his job, his childhood, my supposed distance. I listened, not because I believed him, but because I knew this was the last time I would have to. That afternoon, I packed a bag and left. No slammed doors, no dramatic music, just the sound of my own footsteps and the click of the lock behind me. That was a year ago. People always want to know if we got back together. We did not. He remarried 6 months later. Another woman, another fresh start. I found out when Simone sent me a screenshot of their wedding announcement. "Same script, new actress," she wrote underneath. I stared at the picture for a long time. I did not feel jealous. I did not even feel sad. I just felt certain that his story was no longer my responsibility. As for Simone and me, we are not really friends. Not in the usual sense. We do not go shopping together. We do not call each other every day. But we started a small support group at a community center, a circle of women who have stayed too long in places that hurt them. We sit in mismatched chairs with paper cups of coffee. We talk about money, boundaries, self-respect. We do not spend much time talking about the other woman because a lot of the time, the real enemy is the version of ourselves that thought we didn't deserve better. Most of them do not know our exact history. They just know that we show up every week and tell them 3 simple things. You are not crazy. You are not unlovable. Your worth is not measured by someone else's loyalty. I still have bad nights. Nights when I remember the lake, the quiet, the feeling of having already left my own life. On those nights, I do not text David. I do not stalk his new wife on social media. If it gets really bad, I send a simple message. "Rough night." She usually answers, "Still here, drink some water. You're not done yet." It is not a perfect ending, but it is real. If you are listening to this in your own version of that car, wearing your own red dress, staring at your own dark water, I want you to hear me. Your story does not end with the person who betrayed you. Your pain is real, but it is not the whole truth of who you are. The night I decided to die, the woman I hated most in the world sent me a message. She did not fix my life. She did not save my marriage. She did something smaller and bigger at the same time. She gave me just enough time to remember that I was still alive. Sometimes that is all you need to start again.